which was kind of dumb for our team. I missed the first shot. I was leading him a little too much. Boom! Nice hit on that T-46, but he did get tracked behind the hill, so I'm going to have to chase after these guys a little bit. So I'm coming down here. Hey everybody, welcome back to dungeongurunet. This is nethervoid, also known as John, doing another strategy series for you. This is the double episode I was talking about, and I'm doing these to try to clear out some of these lower tier tanks and the tanks that I'm finished with and I need to get rid of to open up more garage slots. World of Tanks has been doing a lot of sales on tanks, and I've been trying to pick up all the tanks possible, and I've just got a ton to work through. As you can see, you're going to see down here, PZ3. We got the DB I just got that was on sale. That actually I actually need to level up that tank. The Stug, the JPZ4. I've already done those tanks, but I got them again because they were on sale. I wanted to do videos. T34. I mean, it just list goes on and on. So I need to get rid of some of these lower tier tanks. We'd be doing double episodes for a few weeks here. I really wanted to get back to the maps video, but that's going to have to wait till I clear out some of my garage a little bit. And I was looking at starting to do that again. But anyway, let's get back into this tank. Let's go over the general playstyle and stats. Let's go over stats first. 260 hit points, not a lot. This TD is very easy to kill. It doesn't take much damage. A couple shots from your tier 5 will kill you, or at least leave you at 10 hit points. So you're gonna have to be really careful right off the bat, just because it doesn't have that many hit points. 12 tons pushed around by 210 horsepower. This tank actually has a good get up and go. It's very mobile. I mean, you kind of expect that from a tier 4, but this is more mobile than the Hetzer. The Hetzer is not very mobile TD, and this TD is much more mobile. It's much like the T40 in its mobility, which I really like. Speed limit 43. You'll probably get up to about 40 and stuff. This tank has a lot of get up. I would not, you're going to get at least the high 30s. This thing moves around the battlefield like a boss. Traverse 40 is actually pretty good. You can traverse over and hit an enemy pretty easily. It's not like pulling teeth to try to move to try to turn in this tank. You can get circled though, so do not rush up in an enemy's face, because the closer you get to the enemy, the easier it's going to be for him to get behind you and start circling you. And once he does that, you probably won't be able to keep up at 40 traverse speed. Possibly you will, probably not though. Armor, basically none. This thing has no armor. And you have to play it like it has no armor. You have to shoot at guys when they're not looking at, they're not aiming at you. Try to get some flank shots on them. Snipe from a distance when they're engaged with your allies. Things like that. You don't want to don't ever give the opportunity for the enemy to shoot at you. Is basically how you play this tank. Let's see, we already went over that stuff. Gun traverse doesn't really matter. View range 440 is actually pretty good for such a low tier tank, and if you throw a binocs on it, it goes up to 490, and that's really, really good for this level of tank. It's going to help you for sniping. You're going to want to see at long distances, also for scouting the enemy on flanks that maybe your allies are not covering as much anymore because they've killed all the people, supposedly quote-unquote killed everybody in that lane, so they moved on to a different lane. You will be able to spot guys trying to sneak in, so I do advise getting binocs if you can, because it'll get you up to 490, and that's pretty good view range. Even at 440, it's still good. Let's talk about the radio now. The starting radio at 370 meters is not that great. I like radios at least at 400 to 450 or so. Those are at least doable. And now wait, I forgot to talk about the style of this tank. I was just about to talk about it here. I can't. Okay, so the style of how you play this tank is, and how I play the lower tiers up to about tier 6 or 7, actually even tier 7 a little bit, is you're going to post up and snipe with this tank, maybe sniping out of the base behind some bushes. Get it in a really nice sniper spot with a bunch of bushes, and snipe upfield to where your allies are engaging tanks. And this gun does really well even at long distances with penetration, so you're going to have a really easy time doing that. If the enemy does spot you and look at you, you need to get out of there. You need to back away, you need to move, you need to get out of there. Especially if already can spot you, they're going to kill you. So you cannot get shot at in this tank. You will not bounce anything. It's going to go right through and jack you up bad. Especially with 260 hit points, you're probably going to get maybe even one shot. So you have to be very careful and do some sniping at the beginning of games. Now, toward the end of the game, once the enemy team only has 5 or 6 tanks, I will generally move out of my sniping position to become more aggressive and make sure that I can unload my gun and get off as many shots as I can into the enemy. Remember, time on target, and so I'm thinking about time on target at about 5 or 6 tanks left on the enemy team. Now, if we have about 10 tanks and they have about 5 or 6 tanks, I'll be very aggressive with my search and destroy, try to find enemies, push them into pincer moves on them, push them into spots where they're going to get jacked up, and really just play very aggressively, especially if I think we're going to win, because I don't really care if I die. I don't care about stats in that regard. The more I can hit a guy, the better chance I have for XP and credits, and so I'm going to be very aggressive and push in their face. Now, if it's kind of even, I will not play as aggressively, but I am moving out of the base to try to make sure that I can get to where my gun can be shooting at enemies, hopefully from a very defensible position, but I can still point this huge gun at the enemy and get that 160 damage onto the enemy. That's going to help our team out a lot. And so sitting back in base and never doing anything, if you lose because of that, I mean, if your team loses, you could have possibly turned the whole game around by moving this 160 damage gun into a position to shoot some enemy. So it's definitely worth the risk, and you'll get more used to that as you play the tanks like this. And I play these lower tier tanks, lower tier TDs, just like that. You cannot do as much with the M10, I think, is why I was having a problem with it, because it's just not very aggressive, very good as an aggressive tank, as far as my experience with it anyway. So that's pretty much how you play this tank. Let's get back to modules. Now, the 600 meter radio is going to help you a lot more at the end of fights where you're going out and trying to be more aggressive with tanks, or you're doing an RTB, which this tank can do very well because it is so fast. You can RTB and use that 130 pen to damage the enemy and erase his points on your cap. And having that radio will help you talk to your teammates that are on the other side of the map trying to cap their base, radioing back and forth any kind of information you guys have for each other. That's the real great thing about these larger radios. Also helps with credits and XP by allowing you to spot enemies first, which will give you credits and XP, and as well as spotting enemies while allies are shooting them. That's going to help a lot too. Tracks are already great with 38 degrees per second. It cannot load the big gun, so you will have to upgrade the tracks for the big gun, but it starts out with a great 38 degrees per second. Usually, a lot of other tanks will have like a 30 or 34 and bump up to 40, and it'll have a huge increase. But this one, the stock tracks actually start out with a pretty good traverse. I mean, obviously, I want 2 more degrees per second traverse, but you're not going to notice a huge difference just because the original stock tracks are so good. Now, the stock engine is not real great. It's 140 horsepower though, so it still gets you around pretty good. It's fairly mobile. It's not sluggish or anything. But 210 horsepower. This thing zips around, and it has a great acceleration even up hills. So also it just kind of a bonus. You have a chance of fire impact reduced to 15%. A lot of the Russian engines have that, which is another great bonus. No turret to talk about, obviously. It's a turretless TD. Now, you're not going to have to start out with this stock gun, which only has 78 pen. Not a very good penetration on a gun. I mean, I guess for tier 4s it's okay, but this TD really shines because of the penetration on its guns, and obviously also the damage. Now, you're going to be able to start out with this ZIS-2 because you did unlock it in the 76. If you watch any of my videos, you know to unlock everything on the tank previous before you start moving up to the next tank. And this is why. You can start out with this nice 112 penetration. The damage is not great at 85, but it doesn't really matter. The point is you need to be able to damage the enemy. It doesn't do any good to ding shots off the enemy. Also, the aiming of your pretty much crappy crew is going to mean that you're going to need to be able to not have a perfect shot on a weak spot, and so you're going to still need to be able to penetrate them. So it's going to be ridiculously better when you get this LB2S. I mean, 130 pen, 160 damage on a tier 4 TD, ridiculous. This thing is a monster, and you'll see it in the game I have. I just show it in all 3 of these games. You're seeing a couple right now. It's a monster gun, and when you get this thing, you're going to love this tank. In fact, you might not even sell this tank. If you have not played this tank, play it, even if you don't care about TDs, because it's so much fun to derp guys in the face for half their health at these tiers. You know, I mean, look at that, 160 damage. What if you hit an SU-85B with that thing? It would be at like 30% from one shot, from a non-derp gun. Really? I mean, this is a penetration gun. It's not an HE gun. So this just, I can't rave enough about this gun. It's redonkulous, man. I love this gun. I love playing this tank. So anyway, that's the modules. Let's go over research. So here we are looking at the tech tree for the 85B, and I was doing a little bit of research right before I looked at the tech tree for this to do this video, and you do unlock the ZIS-2 on the 76, so you should be able to throw that on right away. You do not need the upgraded tracks to do that, and that's going to give you that nice 110, 112 penetration with only 85 damage. The damage isn't that big a deal. The really main thing is the penetration there. That's going to give you the credits and XP you need to unlock the rest of this tank. So looking at the rest of this tech tree, I would immediately go for the first 2 engines because it's only 650 XP to unlock both of those. Get those engines upgraded, and that's going to help you when you're moving out when there's only about 5 tanks left on the enemy team and you're looking to get into a better position to throw that damage on the enemy, or becoming more aggressive with your tank toward the end of the game. So throw those 2 engines on. It's going to make you really maneuverable right off the bat, give you great mobility. And at that point, you can unlock and upgrade the tracks, which will help you get the gun line here. Go straight for the LB2S after that, and then you're going to have that nice 130 pen with 160 damage, and it's a pretty awesome gun. That changes this whole tank. Once you put that gun on, this tank is actually better than the M10 Wolverine at that point. I like it better. Even if you're going to sit back and snipe like a lot of M10 players do, this tank does it better because it hits harder and it pens every time you shoot. And you're going to see me go up against the M10 Wolverine at range, and you'll see the difference when I do that. And remember, M10's a tier above this tank. So after that, I would probably unlock this radio. Now, if you have gone down the Russian medium line, you're going to have this radio already unlocked, hopefully. So just throw this radio on as early as possible. It's going to help you get the credits, like I was talking about earlier, the credits and XP from spotting people, spotting guys while your friendlies are damaging them, and radioing the information back when you spot a guy for the first time. This is going to increase your range a lot, and you'll see you'll get extra spotting. You'll be the first person to spot a few people, even if you're sitting in your base. Just by having that radio. So that's pretty much how I would do this whole tech tree. It's a little simple, just the weird thing is you get the engines kind of early on because they're so cheap. So that's how I would do this tech tree, and you're going to see the priority list over here, and let's get back to my garage. So that's the research, and let's get into some equipment. I don't put on equipment until tier 7, and that's just because it's so expensive, and it's really not worth it for these lower tier tanks. This tank probably costs like $150,000, so I'm not going to put $1 million in equipment on it. What you can do though, if you do want to put some equipment on, you're not going to keep it on there very long, so you don't want to pay the 10 gold to remove it, is put a toolbox on there. Your crew is going to suck so bad that repairing a track is going to take days, and so throw this toolbox on. You can take it off without spending gold. You can also put these binocs on, which is going to help with your sniping. It's going to get you up to 490 view range when you're standing still for 3 seconds. And again, it's another one of those pieces that you can remove without spending gold. Camo net's kind of a duh for TDs. They already have a very low camouflage rating, and so throwing on that camo net and stopping for 3 seconds behind a bush is not only going to get you the bush bonus, but it's also going to be negative 20% to your chance to be seen while your vehicle is stationary. It's very awesome. You're going to need the track upgrade probably to throw it on because they do weigh a lot, but those are the 3 pieces of equipment I would get. Now, if you didn't care about spending gold, I'd probably get the rammer instead of the toolbox, I guess. The rammer's nice all the time. It helps this gun fire a little faster. So that's equipment. Consumables and ammo, I don't put consumables until they're at least tier 5, so I have none because it's counterproductive. The consumables each cost at least 3,000 credits, and you're at the tier 4, your main problem is credits, usually, if this is one of your first lines, because there's a very steep uphill slope on credits per tank, and when you're in the tier 3, 4, and 5 ranges, so you don't want to be spending that on consumables. And your tank, when it gets knocked out, is not even worth, like, what, 2k credits? Using a consumable to keep from being knocked out is going to cost you more than to repair your whole tank, so it's not worth it. So I used to put more HE rounds in this thing, but since the HE nerf, I've cut back a lot on HE rounds. So you can see I have 34 AP rounds and 9 HE, and I could cut that down to even 5 probably. But I never run out of AP ammo, so I just left it this way, and this is a pretty good ratio. Your crew is probably going to end up about 70 to 75%, or 75% of though when you fully unlocked this whole tree, including the SU85B, and a lot of that's because you're unlocking that tier 9 radio for 4,000 XP, and these guns are kind of expensive too. But that's kind of okay. I mean, it's nice to have that nicer percentage of crew, and I do have mine a little higher because I forgot to record decent games, so I had to keep playing this tank for a while to get some games. So anyway, that's this tank in a nutshell. That's all the things you need to know about this tank to make it ridiculous. And let's get to a game, and I'll show you how you can pwn face with it. So as a TD, you gotta love getting spawned on Sand River. This is a great TD map, especially at the south here. I think it has better TD positions than the north. But the north also has great TD positions, and here you see me running over the supply depot here because I do not like when the enemies sit behind it when they're capping and I cannot get a great shot on them. So I've seen more and more guys doing that actually, and I'm starting to do it in every game. I do it in every game. It's a little more of an annoyance and heavy because it takes so long to get over there, but it's definitely worth it because it can be... I've seen games come down to you need to hit them once, and they're at 100, and since they're behind that depot, you can't get a shot on them, and they win. Very, very rare, but it can happen, so just drive over it right away. And more people are getting wise to that and starting to drive over it. So here you can see me setting up in this great sniper position. I'm starting out this game just trying to snipe. We do have a lot of TDs on our side, but this is a great TD position. Let's see what we got over here. So Luke's in a T-46. Now, with this big gun, ooh, a PZ-3A and an NA there. 240 hit points on this thing. I actually have more than he does. It's interesting. Well, I guess it's because he's a T3. Now, see that 160 damage? Boom, took him out. A guy did get some damage on him, and then I took him out for the rest of his hit points. So, that's pretty amazing. Basically, 1-2 punch that dude before he had a chance to really do anything. So, again, great TD position here. Oh, here's that Wolverine I was talking about in the garage. Let's see what happens to this guy. He's fully upgraded. 360 hit points, which is pretty crappy. Boom! Wow, almost half your health there, buddy. Oh, owned, you're dead. So I got 200 damage shot on that second one, and he only had 19 hit points left. Wolverine's suck ass, alright? He probably should have been perched up like I'm doing here. The Wolverine's not a very good assault gun for assault gun style. Now, I'm posted up a little bit too far. Got a couple of scout light tanks trying to take advantage of nobody being on the northern side there, which was kind of dumb for our team. I missed the first shot. I was leading him a little too much. Boom! Nice hit on that T-46, but he did get tracked behind the hill, so I'm going to have to chase after these guys a little bit. So I'm coming down here with my mobility. You can see the mobility of this tank working in my favor here to try to help protect these arties. I don't even... Oh, good. That priest did hit him. I'm just going to roll up, hold down style. I missed him there. I think that was my crew, probably. You're dead. Boom. Okay, so here's that T-46. You're probably going to die. Doing another hold down position on this guy. Alright, my buddy and the other 85B hit him. So some great base defense there, and the mobility of this tank allows that to happen. Even up a hill, it's not going too bad at 20 kilometers per hour. KV, the dreaded KV at 307 hit points here. In the PZ-34, I will not attack a KV, maybe if he's at half health like that. He's also got the derp gun. You can one-shot anybody on this map. Doing a little bit of blind shooting there. So we're up by 2 tanks. We're doing pretty good. That KV could basically change the game, though. In fact, in this game, if I was him, I'd rather have the 107 because then he's going to get more rounds on the enemy. When you're shooting at smaller tanks, you generally one-shot them even with the 107. Or they're slightly damaged, you get one shot and they're dead. You don't need the dirt. So let's see what I can do against this guy. Going for the turret. Well, right below the tracks there. Boom, baby! 20% damage, 25% damage. You're dead. So I could 4-shot that KV. That's nice. In a tier 4 TD. That's awesome. It's because of that 130 pin too. Takes that guy down quick. Things that are hard to do in tier 4 tanks. Things that you can't do in other tier 4s, you can do in this tank. So now that the enemy only has 5 tanks, I'm going to move up and get more aggressive because I'm not going to get a lot of challengers into the base, I don't believe. Plus we got the other 85B. Now here's a great place to move up is this ridge. And where's my cursor? I'm not getting a cursor here. Oh, I'm pushing the wrong button. It's great if you come over here and hide. You can look right down. I'm looking at the mini-map now. You can look right down on this valley and help get some crossfire with your teammates, or just spot if you're a really low-tier tank, or if you're a T50 or something. You can also move up to a more forward position like I'm trying to do here, and you can spot the enemy in their base and get some shots into the base. So what else we got? A Ram 2. That guy was doing some spotting before. Oh, a PZ-4. Now this guy can actually give me a run for my money. He could kill me. I'm a 2-shot for him if he's fully upgraded, which he's not. It looks like he's got that snub-nose gun. He's probably stock. 390 hit points. Yeah, I think they go over 400 when he's got the upgraded turret. So he's at 76%. I'm just going to go after him. We got this game unlocked. There's only 2 tanks left. At this point, I don't really care if I die too much. I killed 3 guys. I really just want XP and credits. So let me chase him down. And it's a little more fun. Add a little spice. Hide behind some city. And now if I shoot him from there, I'm not going to do anything. He's behind a building, and my shot's just going to go wild and crazy anyway. It's going to go wide. So he doesn't even know I'm here. I should have hit with that shot. I'm close enough. Oh, now he knows I'm here. But I didn't. Lucky for him. Now, as a TD, you just wait. A lot of the lower tier guys don't have any patience and they'll pop out. They don't think about that. Higher tier guys, maybe not. But so he's in 1 shot from death. Let's just go right at him. Let's just go right at him. Bring it, baby. I'll shoot your tier 5. So I killed 2 tier 5s in that game. 1,000-point game, pretty good. 19,000 credits. These tier 4s can be money makers too, especially with a big gun like this. I probably shot about 2,000 in shells max, so I made about 17,000 in this game. 4 kills, which is really awesome. A couple of damages, the T-46 and the M10 Wolverine, which I really wish I would have got the kill on that guy. And also detecting the T-46 that was trying to sneak into our base, the same guy I got a shot on and tracked. And that was probably due to the radio. That's probably why I got that detection instead of the other SU-B, or 85B, which is actually closer to this guy than I was. So I think it was because of my radio, radioing it back to everybody else. So not great for accuracy, but then again, I took a couple of blind shots and stuff. This was still a really good game, and this is really textbook how to play this tank. Snipe up for a while, use the big gun. Don't worry about shooting at higher tier tanks. Just make sure they don't shoot you back. All you have to do is shoot, and if they look over at you, just back up and hide. So anyway, and then after that, when they have about 5 tanks left, let's go on the offensive and make sure you can get that 160 damage gun firing at the enemy. So see you guys next time.